So, well, Harry Wilson. And that's it, basically. This is The Agenda. It's another episode with me, Dan Austin, and Dan Morgan. We are from Liverpool.com, and we're talking this morning about the big story in the aftermath of Liverpool's 3-1 victory over Lyon in Geneva last night. And it's Harry Wilson, Dan, because he scored a goal that basically reminded you that he's capable of doing really, really good things. He's had a pretty quiet pre-season, a couple of maybe 10 or 15-minute spells where he's done all right, and then out of nowhere last night, he spanks one in from 30 yards and goes, I'm all right, you know.
Yeah, he's all right, isn't he? Yeah, he's a good player, Wilson, I think. But I often say this, and I often come back to it. I don't think he's a good player in the Liverpool side, in this Liverpool side.
So in the way that it plays rather than the level?
In the way that it plays rather than the level. And I think this side is, when you look at the evolution of it down the years, it's got away from the shot outside the box, especially since Coutinho's left as well. I think there's been a clear focus on creating clear-cut chances, but also conceding less clear-cut chances, and then your ratios become better, your XG and stuff like that if you go into that. So I think, genuinely hand on heart, and I think if you'd ask Klopp last night what goal he's most happy with, I think he tells you the first, because I think he says Naby Keita picks the ball up in a position where he'd want him to. Xherdan Shaqiri makes a lovely run into the box. Firmino does everything you want, and there's players joining, and everything's nice and tight and compact in terms of the shape. I think he's probably made up with a long-distance goal like we all are, and that's an important thing to say. We love long-distance goals. I don't think I celebrated one as much at Anfield, if we're taking Barcelona at the equation, than Salah's at Chelsea.
Oh, that's one of the biggest ever, yeah.
Yeah. But I think in terms of what this manager wants for the team, I don't think he's overly bothered about them. It's
not part of the plan, is it? He's not looking at that going last night and going, that's what we've been aiming to do. That's why we've got these players on the pitch in this shape. That's just a thing that happens, and it's really good if it happens, but you can't account for it because 99% of the time that flies into the stand. Yeah, exactly. And I think if you look at his performance in general last night, I'm not getting down on Harry Wilson here. I think he's a really good player. I think he's got a really bright future somewhere else. But I think he kind of almost has this mad little own role of his own last night. I think you see a lot of the shape getting taken from Firmino and Salah, and that works backwards. Wilson's kind of doing his own thing in and around that for 60, 70 minutes, however long he's on the pitch. And I don't see a defined role for him in this team going forward. And I think the other thing to put in with that is that he's 22 years of age, and the manager keeps referencing this when he talks about both him and Kent. So in the Napoli press conference straight after the game, he basically says, we'll sell Ryan Kent if we can get a buyer. And there's a few gasps in the room, and he caveated straight away by saying he's 22 years of age. And I think we're not dealing with 16, 17, 18-year-olds, Harvey Elliott, Keanu Hoovers here, who we can maybe mould into what we want them to be. You've got to think about the player, and the player's got to think as well where he's at. He's a young lad, but in terms of a football career, clock's ticking for him. Klopp made that point himself last night in the press conference. In his interview, in fact, with LFC TV afterwards, he said he was talking about how cheeky Harvey Elliott's performance had been, and that the other young players could use a bit of that because they're not going to be as experienced, obviously, as the older ones, but that's something that they can bring that's unique to their age group. And then he ends the sentence by going, I don't count Harry Wilson in that group, though.
Yeah, he does.
By basically saying he's not a young player. He's old enough to be a first-team player. He's 2 years older than Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's played in 2 European Cup finals and won one, so he's not a young footballer anymore in the grand scheme of things. The only thing that makes me think there could be something in him staying, maybe even if it's just for 6 months, is the goal that he scores, because it's partly a problem, and Christian Walsh has written something really good on Liverpool.com on this. It's partly the problem in it's not the way we play, and we're not looking to do that. And if he's doing that in a game where he comes on for 20 minutes at Old Trafford at Man United, and he puts one into the Trafford end, we're all fuming with him and going, why is he getting on the pitch? He doesn't play in the way that we do. But I, last season, would have looked at Divock Origi and gone, he doesn't fit the way we play.
Yeah,
I don't see where he comes on in a front three, but he becomes this player with a really important role because he's different to what the rest of them are doing. So if something's not going well, he can come on for 10, 15 minutes. He can play off the left. He can try and bully people. He can be more of a physical threat. But also, if the ball drops him in the 18-yard box, he's probably one of the most potent that we've got. So he adds that extra thing. Maybe Wilson can have this role where he never starts. Literally never ever starts, but maybe comes on akin to what Sturridge was doing, what Origi was doing second half of the season, comes on in 5 or 6 games and in 2 or 3 of them does something mental, which is a small bonus on top of what you've already got. Yeah,
it's a good point. I mean, yeah, I'll take that on board, and the Origi comparison's a really good one. So with that in mind, give him a 5-year deal. I'm sold. If he doesn't start against Norwich, I'm fuming. The only thing I'd say on that is, I think if we were still playing a 4-2-3-1, I'd say, yeah. I'd say he comes on either right or left in a 4-2-3-1. Similar to Shaqiri, really. I don't see where he gets trusted. I don't see him as an 8. I don't really see him in the front 3. I don't think he's got the pace for it. So I don't know in what situation then he does come on.
I also think that the problem, my own argument on that is just getting on the bench. Because at the minute, Liverpool are probably going to have the normal front 3 playing in a standard match. And then Origi's definitely going to be on the bench. If Chamberlain's not playing in midfield, he's going to be on the bench. So's Naby Keita. And then you've got maybe one more space for like a midfielder / forward. And you haven't gone with Lallana, you haven't gone with Brewster, you haven't gone with Shaqiri. All of these players are ahead of Wilson in the queue. So although I think that's an argument that could possibly be made for keeping him, and that's the only role that if he were to end up staying. Say, for example, there's a deal that's meant to happen for him and it breaks down on the 31st of August because a championship side or a side in Scotland or whatever says they're going to buy him and then just doesn't, and he ends up staying and no one really wanted that to happen. That's the only way I can ever see him getting a game, and even that feels really far-fetched.
Yeah, and it's also not fair on him, like I said before. You know, the manager's effusive, isn't he, about the types of characters that are in and around his squad. You know, he loves the young players because of the effervescence they bring. He loves the different cultures and mix-ups of you know, people like Dejan Lovren, who seems a bit eccentric, but he obviously brings something to
He keeps Moreno for 3 years after the mess of a Europa League final because he's a nice lad.
Yeah, then the professionalism shown. And I think it's a funny situation because I think Harry Wilson's got every right to be saying, well, I've proved last season I'm probably good enough to play lower end Premier League level and not have a team build a team around me, but, you know, make a position for me, make a defined role for me. And, you know, I kick on with my career from there. Klopp's got to manage that also, hasn't he? He's got to say to himself and the player, if this player's thinking that and he ends up staying, you know, playing in the Checkatrade Trophy, that's no good for anyone. No. It's no good for him. It's no good for us. He's probably moping a little bit around Melwood. Again, I'm not making definitions about his character or assumptions that I don't know. But he would have every right to, because he's a player who needs to play. And this is the manager putting the person and the player first. And people don't like it. It's an unpopular opinion. But he done that with Coutinho. He put the team first and foremost. But he's seen how unhappy Coutinho was staying at Liverpool. So what's the obvious thing to do to him? Let him go and do what he wants to do. If someone doesn't want to be here, you're not going to force them against their will. And that goes all the way down to whoever it might be, whether it is Harry Wilson or someone in the under-16s or whoever.
Other end of the scale, he did it with Klavan last season.
Yeah.
He says he's perfectly happy for Klavan to do one more season as an extra centre-half. Eventually an offer comes in from Serie A. Klavan says he'd like to leave and Klopp says, you know what, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, and the other thing, Dan, as well, is that the academy has to be self-sufficient. So from an economic point of view, selling Harry Wilson for £25 is a big reflection of the academy making a profit from one of their own graduates.
£25 million, I would hope.
Well, call it 30 quid.
I'll be at 27.50. 25 quid in your bus fare home.
But, better than the loan.
What they should really be doing at this point, because I've updated our transfer tracker, which goes on Liverpool.com every day, and it's on Ryan Kent today, because the theory seems to be that he's almost being priced out of a move a little bit. Rangers are saying they can't afford him. Leeds United, who were interested in him, have brought in a winger now. They've got Helder Costa from Wolves. it seems as though we might just sort of get to a point where maybe he ends up staying because no one's willing to pay the price, or if he is going to go, Liverpool might have to drop the price. I don't know why no one at Liverpool hasn't yet belled Eddie Howe and gone, we've got 2 lads here that are 22 that have done all right, and we'd like you to pay 60 million quid for them, please. And Eddie Howe goes, absolutely. I've been made up with the progress of Brad Smith and Jordan Ibe.
Well, here's the thing. I think the Bournemouth board have vetoed him. I think they've took his Liverpool store card off him.
We could go to them and go, we'll give you Mo Salah for 5 million quid, and the board's going, no, you're not allowed any more from Liverpool.
No more from Liverpool. No more from Liverpool. Still paying Jordan Ibe like more than Ryan Fraser here. What's going on?
Even for £25, Harry Wilson will not move to AFC Bournemouth this summer. That's all that we've got time for on this one. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, make sure to check out liverpool.com. As I say, Christian has written a really good piece on Wilson this morning. And make sure to like the video, comment, and also subscribe. But for now, thanks very much for watching. All the best and enjoy your day.